Breaking the Barriers, Episode 3, Origins of Gospel. Hello, I'm Deborah, and welcome to our third installment of Grand Design's Breaking the Barrier, the social impact of African American music. The influence of American music and culture is undeniable. In this episode, we will continue to discuss the sounds and history of gospel music. Now, gospel influences many genres today and the expansion of gospel music and its evolution, as well as positive and negative effects on its commercial success. Additionally, we will look at some of today's biggest gospel stars. In our latest episodes, we talked about the origin of field hollers in gospel music by addressing its similarities to the call of prayer in the Muslim faith and the traditional singing of West and East Africa. As coined by Dr. Al Bell, legendary music industry leader, stated that gospel music plays a significant role in the African American culture as an expression of the realities of African American lifestyles and culture impacting our religious experiences. All of our gospel music is born of this, so we must continue to preserve, perpetuate, and promote gospel music to its highest pinnacle and increase our moral and spiritual beliefs to remind us of the power of praise and oneness with God. Some of the most legendary singers in the world are gospel artists, such as Sam Cooke and the Soul Stirrers, the Caravans of Chicago, Dorothy Love Coates, Sister Ernestine Washington, Della Reese, Mahalia Jackson, the Hummingbirds, the Five Blind Boys, Thomas Dorsey, Aretha Franklin, the Staple Singers, Lee Williams and the Spiritual QCs, and the list goes on. But there's one artist whose legend will always be with us to continue to promote great gospel musical artistry, and that is the late, great Reverend James Cleveland, the founder of the legendary Gospel Music Workshop of America. GMWA began in a small church in Los Angeles and now is established all over the world. Today, all states have a GMWA chapter, workshop, or choir. In 2000, the national organization released the GMWA Mass Choir, over 2,500 members participating. Produced by Mr. James Bullard of MCG Records. So let's take a listen. I'd like to introduce our special guest who is joining us for the third installation of Breaking the Barriers. Please welcome my mentor, Dr. Syl Morgan-Smith.
Hello, Deborah. I'm so proud of you. You get smarter, more charming, more confident every day. You continue to grow, and I just love what you do.
Well, I love you. You have been such a mentor for me. I just really appreciate everything that you have done in this Denver community And just as you just continue, I mean, come on,
I was going to say, now there's a second act to this. Don't forget, I've got a second act.
That's right. You're the founder and president of the Colorado Gospel Music Academy and Hall of Fame.
Yes.
You know, so I just welcome you and I thank you for all your 48 years.
It is my joy to be in your presence and on your program. You do such good work.
Thank you so much. So tell me, I mean, you have done this adult and the children's workshop. You continue to preserve the sounds of gospel music. So what is your most significant achievement?
In the field of gospel music, I would say there are many of them, but I'm going to be the mom that I am. My most significant achievement in gospel music are my children.
Yes.
They all sing, and they sing well.
Yes, they do.
Now that's my greatest achievement there. But beyond that, I'm really thrilled about having this Gospel Music Academy and Hall of Fame. This will be our 48th year, February 10th. 3 p.m. New Hope Baptist Church. It's the 48th consecutive award ceremony that we've had, and we have brought in some of the greatest names in gospel music over these 48 years. And one of the things I'm most proudest of would be my friendship and relationship with that legendary Reverend James Cleveland.
Yes, we're going to talk about him. So tell me, how did Reverend James Cleveland really influence you and really have an impact on your life?
Well, back in the deep, dark ages when Noah had that ark, I was an official.
Was it that long ago?
Yes, back in 1802. I was an official soloist for the National Baptist Convention Incorporated. Mm-hmm. And they have more than 50,000 members. And so I would be on that stage singing for that massive number of people. And superstars in that convention were people like Dr. C.L. Franklin, Aretha Franklin's father.
Yes.
And many other well-known. At that time, ministers were almost celebrities. They were the rock stars. We didn't have these rapper stars then. Mm-hmm. The Baptist and Church of God in Christ, Methodist, our pastors were the stars. You know, names like Reverend Jesse Jackson. Mm-hmm. And today you've got Reverend Al Sharpton.
Right.
But back in that day, they were the stars. And I went to California to study drama. I had always wanted, as a child, to be a movie star.
Really?
Or an opera singer, or an attorney, like the big names, you know, the TV shows. Mm-hmm. And then I married a man who decided to become a preacher.
Uh-oh.
There went that, because, you know, the saints were not going to have Sister First Lady up there. And not to mention my parents, when I talked about wanting to be Dorothy Dandridge or Lena Horne, they said, you meant Mahalia Jackson or Albertina Walker. Exactly. That's what you really meant to say. So it was like, okay. But then I screwed the whole thing up because I got pregnant at 14. So I went way out of line. Right. And along that path, I met the Reverend James Cleveland. And I love traditional gospel music because I've been in the church all my life.
Right.
And traditional gospel music just speaks to my soul.
Yes.
It lifts me up, pulls my socks up in the morning. So when I met Reverend Cleveland, he was thinking about the music workshop, and he asked me would I be on his national board, that first board, and of course, you know, just to be in the room with James Cleveland was something. And so I said, absolutely. And I did, and the rest is history. I've continued to do my best to honor his legacy.
Yes.
Even when he was alive, he came to Denver always for me. Mm-hmm. But then now that he is with God, I'm still working on that. So we have workshops in Denver. Everybody can afford to go to the national workshop shop, although it's bigger than ever.
Right.
And I mean, they have people from all over the world People come from Asia,
Yes.
Europe, people that don't look like me, but they
Yeah.
want to sound like me.
Yes.
And with training, they sound better
Yes.
than we do. So
Right.
that makes me happy.
Well, I do know I have some clips of a video standing in the need of a blessing
Oh my.
that I produced going to the workshop, the
Yes.
National Worker. And it was over 2,500 people just singing, you know.
Always, you know.
Always from all over, everywhere. And I'm telling
It
you.
reminds me, though,
Yeah.
that's what we're told heaven is like. We always talk about that
Yes.
heavenly choir.
Mhm.
Well, down here we got to practice and tune up a little bit
Yes.
to make sure
Well,
we're
James
ready.
Cleveland, Reverend James Cleveland was able to bring that.
Yes.
He was able to pull that together.
And the motto is, of the workshop is, the place where everybody is somebody. And
Right.
James didn't care if you came from a church that didn't have a piano or a choir. You were
Right.
the only singing person. Or you came from a church with 500 voices. You got the same respect
Right.
and opportunity to display your talent. And I've tried to carry that out.
Yes, you have. So how did your vision unfold to, you know, what it is or what it has become today?
The first year, as you know, I began playing gospel music on the radio.
Right.
Station KBPI FM, it's a rocker now, but that time when it first went on, it was African American station with an R&B format with gospel music. So I
Okay.
did gospel music every morning, 6 to 9, and on Saturdays and Sundays I did it 12 to noon. And a year after I'd gone on the radio, the community gave me an appreciation day. And I was so honored to be sitting there. But as I looked around at all the people, I thought, I couldn't do my program without them.
Right.
Because they called in to tell me who was in the hospital, who's having a child, who was graduating, who was selling fish dinners for the church. I mean, you know, it was a newsy show. It was
Right.
before you had YouTube,
Right.
and before you had Facebook
Okay.
or Twitter. My program linked the community together and said, this is what's going on. And people were happy. But when they tried to honor me, I thought, this is about this community. So I
Right.
flipped the script. And the very next year, I began giving awards, honoring others.
Okay.
Because in James Cleveland's spirit, everybody is somebody.
Right.
And for instance, one of my honorees last year has been an employee of the city and county of Denver for 63 years. Her name is Mrs. Albertina Sellers.
Really?
And they talked to her about retiring. She said, I plan to work till I get my 65-year pen.
My goodness, that's wonderful. That is. You know, I
and
have to
most
say,
people didn't know her.
right. I have to say that I am very honored too because I received one of your awards a
As
couple of
you should
years
have.
ago. Yes, and it was.
And you know,
it's
we
wonderful.
have a second act, so don't go too far.
Okay, you
I'm
got a
looking
second.
forward. Oh, yes. This is only 48. Can you imagine what 49 and 50th annual will be?
Okay.
You
Yeah.
should not schedule anything the second Sunday of February in 2019. You should leave that date open.
Okay.
Or at least
I
pencil in my
always-
name.
Always. You are always on my list, you know. So, speaking of the GMWA and how did it really kind of influence your mission is, you know, like with you and your awards and all that James did. I know that there are workshops in every city all over the world that
Yeah, and state,
came
every
out of
state
every state,
has one.
right, that has come out of that national workshop.
At the time James started this workshop, he was a superstar. He was then the Kirk Franklin of the day or the Yolanda Adams.
Right.
He was the voice of gospel music at that time. But he had such a humble beginning. He started in gospel music begging to be the musician for Albertina Walker in the Caravans.
Right.
And after he begged for so long, they allowed him to be their musician. But James began musician and writing and one day he just started singing at one of their events, and the rest was history. But he remembers how he began.
Right.
And he wanted to make success open to everybody, because he always said the greatest singer hasn't been born. And don't get too carried away with yourself, because
Right.
there's somebody right now who probably is homeless that can sing better than you or
Right.
play an instrument better than you. So it was that spirit that he instilled in me, and I honor it today. We're going to have children coming over for a children's workshop. These are mothers
Right.
who can't send their children to New York or wherever
Right.
their national is, but we have phenomenal teachers. Dr. Michael Williams will be
Yes.
teaching the children.
Okay.
And Dr. M. Roger Hollins of the University of Denver's Lamont School of Music will be teaching the adults.
Right.
And the R&B singer I was trying to mention a second ago, Luther Vandross,
Oh, yeah.
he was backup singer for everybody.
Yes.
And then he became famous.
Yes, he
so
did.
James never forgot his start.
Right. Okay, so when we listen to like Christian contemporary music of today, okay, like your Donnie McKirklands, your Fred Hammonds, and Yolanda, what part of the early gospel sounds do you really still feel that exist?
Oh, it's in them. It is in
Right.
them. As a matter of fact, to the point that often they become ministers. That
Yes.
gospel music just instills and burrows into them, and the next thing you know, they do the contemporary stuff, and that's okay. The younger people today, they want to hear, and it's got to have that right beat, and
Yeah.
something they can
Like Kurt
do that
Franklin
thing
kind
too.
of stomp on
Yeah,
me a little bit.
Stomp.
Yeah.
But, and I love Kurt Franklin's stomp.
Uh-huh.
But if I tell the truth, I like Donnie McClurkin's stand
Right.
better. So there's always that lock-in
Right.
of those singers with the genre of traditional gospel, but they have the capacity to do contemporary, and that makes for a winning ticket. Something for everybody, something for the children, but always something for grandma.
Yeah, always. When you think about the Williams brothers,
Oh yes.
Lee
Oh,
Williams
yes.
and the QCs,
Oh, yes.
and a lot of the traditional artists,
lot
that
of
still
people-
exist today.
And a lot of people, particularly young people, are totally unaware that Sam Cooke,
Yes,
Johnny Taylor,
the Soul Stirrers.
Lou Rawls, they all began singing gospel.
Right.
My father in Omaha had a quartet called the Gospel Tones, and he was a promoter. And so
Really?
he had all these singers at our house, and they came to town, and that was when things were so segregated. They stayed in homes.
Okay.
And they would have jam sessions at the house. And so, gospel music is just a part of my life.
Right.
It always has been.
And it's the foundation of really our heritage, our
Yes.
culture,
Because
all the music that has come out of
we
it.
think of our ancestors in slavery. They could not have made it without that music.
Right.
And they sang in code. They weren't allowed to talk to each other. They were not allowed to read. So in code, for instance, they would say, "Swing low, sweet chariot." That meant Harriet Tubman was coming with the railroad that day. They
Okay.
always, up above my head, I hear music. They meant, pay attention. There's going to be an escape tonight. All of the music had
Significant.
significance, and it was a signal. The slaves had nothing else, later they wrote the song without a song.
Right.
Where would
Well,
they
in
be?
our previous episodes, we talked about the history of gospel.
Yes.
And one came up was when we talk about Dr. Hollins
Yes.
and his preservation of the spiritual project. I am so, he's just a wonderful guy.
He
How
is an
he has
amazing
just-
man. And what most people don't know, Dr. Holland is classically trained.
Yes.
And in New York, he performed at Carnegie Hall. I mean, he can sing opera with the best of them.
Yes.
But then he can hump over that piano and hit that gospel hymn and make you lose your mind.
Yeah. Yeah.
He is trained but authentic.
Yes.
And my guest, Dr. Prince Yelder, the same thing. He is over the 500 voice women's choir in James Cleveland's Gospel Music Workshop
Right.
of America. And I would say to anyone in the audience who really would like an experience,
Right.
come to the Gospel Music Academy here in Colorado, but then 1 year, put it on your bucket list. Go to the National.
You have to go at least 1 year.
It's amazing.
It is
what happens.
amazing to see all of the people from all the different places, all the workshops that they have.
They teach you
Yes.
classical, they teach you piano, different instruments, they teach you singing, voice control, but they teach you also what it means to be a gospel singer.
Yes.
You know, you're not the same as just
Right.
every other
Or
singer.
musician, because
Right.
they even have, no matter what instrument you play.
Doesn't matter.
They have it for
Billy
you.
Preston, Edwin Hawkins,
Yes.
Oh Happy Day, they're all out of the Gospel Music Workshop of America.
Yeah, the Clark sisters.
Oh, yeah. And I just was with Dorinda Clark yesterday.
Okay. Oh, really?
Right.
Okay. So tell me, what is your belief is the future of gospel?
It will survive because it is the good news of Jesus Christ. And although there are many different religions, there will always be a Christian religion.
Right.
And the Christian family will always want to sing the good news of Jesus Christ. And I don't care what university you graduate from, eventually you're going to hear Mahalia Jackson singing His Eye is on the Sparrow,
Yes.
and you're going
Yes.
to imitate that. It's just automatically. Gospel music will always be here. And a new generation, they study it in college and then they perform it. And as I said, gospel music is now universal.
Right.
Asians, Hispanics, Europeans, everyone is singing gospel music. They do gospel tours to New York
Right.
to learn, to study, and when they finish, if you put your hands over your eyes, you would not know
You can't tell.
the ethnicity of the person singing that.
Right.
Because gospel music is a feeling.
Yes, it is.
You know, it's not just the notes on the paper.
Right.
And Gladys Knight, Aretha Franklin, they're
Many of
all
them.
out of that school
Right.
of training.
What about gospel rap?
I love it
Good.
because it's the message and the beat that turns on the younger minds. But eventually, Amazing Grace is going to catch them.
At least the beat.
Now, you can beat all you want, but if mama has cancer, if daddy is about to leave the family, you are going to reach down to Amazing Grace. How sweet the sound. You're not going to get away from that.
That's true.
His Eyes on the Sparrow, you're going to jump back to that. I love all the beats, but when you're in crises, it's those standard traditional
Yes.
gospel songs that get your attention. And that's why Aretha was so powerful.
Right.
Because she could take that over. Yolanda, they
Right.
don't just say words.
Right.
There is that deep down heart felt. And the way they do that, those notes and so forth,
Yes.
you can't sing gospel music looking cute.
No.
Doing it.
No. Well, thank you. I could sit here and talk to you all day.
Well, let's just do that. Let's see.
we could do that. But I love you, and I just thank you so much for joining me today, right here on
Joy
this.
is mine.
Yes, this is truly, truly an experience for us all.
To God be the glory.
God
I
bless
don't
you.
feel no ways tired.
Okay.
James Cleveland song.
Yes. Dr. Seal has done a great job continuing the gospel music workshop here in Colorado. Today, the term gospel music doesn't mean what it used to. There are a variety of gospel genres, starting with country gospel, Christian music sung by country music stars, urban contemporary gospel, that's a gospel with a pop feel, gospel rap comprised of artists rhyming for the Lord, and gospel jazz, Christian melodic sounds. In the secular community, gospel music is only recognizable by the references to Christian faith. Thank you so much for tuning in today to Breaking the Barriers, the social impact of African American music. I hope you have enjoyed this as much as I have. Gospel music has certainly come a long way. I believe it is extremely important to understand gospel music origins by preserving the legacy of those that have paved the way. I would like to thank our guest, Dr. Syl Morgan-Smith, for being a part of this episode with us. It has truly been an honor to have her. Please remember to tune in next time as we continue the series, A Journey of History, Heritage, and Culture, and Triumph. Thanks so much for being a part of Grand Design's Breaking the Barriers. So whatever you do, don't stop the music.